Here's the gaming video you guys have been waiting for. Apologize that it's taking a little longer, but it's finally here. And we have a lot to talk about gaming on the S25 Ultra. Chipset, but we do have the 8 Elite chipset for Galaxy, so this is specially tuned for this device. And typically over the years, this is a chip that is slightly overclocked. In terms of performance, we'll see some benchmarks to see what it brings to the table, but of course this is a very powerful chip and it's based off the Snapdragon 8 Elite. We've seen some really great performance across the board. Speaking of that performance, what do we have for benchmarks? That's also very important because some of you like benchmarks, right? So we start off with 3D Mark and looking at wildlife. Wildlife here, it was maxed out, which is something we've seen typically with the 8 Elite chipset, and with the 8 Elite for Galaxy, that seems to be the case. Solar Bay, we're getting about 10,464, which is also very good. So some good performances there. Now, what about Geekbench 6? I just want to see what I'm getting from that. Single core score, this one is great, 3,095, some really nice scores, and it almost hit 10,000 with a score of 9,904 on multi-core. And when we check out our GPU score, we have a score of 19,651. So it's in line with the Snapdragon 8 Elite. So what does that Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy bring to the table? Well, let's take a look at our games. Starting off with Call of Duty Mobile. Again, it's a simple benchmark, great barometer to actually test with. We can play 120 frames per second, quite easy at its settings, and it runs very well, it's very smooth. I have to say the combination of the way this display feels and also the game performance is really nice with this. And then we move over to PUBG Mobile. Here again, we can do 120 frames per second. And remember, like 3 years ago, you couldn't do this on an Android device. Being able to do it here, again, nice and smooth, and temperatures are just right. Speaking of temperatures, Samsung talked about a larger vapor chamber, about 40% larger, and they also have a new cooling material, which is acronym is called TIM, or Tailored TIM, like Tim Schofield. And this should provide better cooling overall while you're gaming and take advantage of that chipset as much as possible. So when we move over to Genshin Impact, where you usually see temperatures begin to rise up, Genshin able to play very well at its max settings and getting 60 frames per second without even dipping. I mean, last year it dipped a bit. So I love the fact that this year performance is really steady on here. Now, in terms of temperatures, we're getting about maybe 105 on here, 106, which is in line and which actually makes a lot of sense and it's quite solid. Now, the last game is one game that has been having issues with the Snapdragon 8 Elite for maximum performance, and that is Call of Duty Warzone. So I figured hopefully the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy will have at least some improvements here in terms of performance. Went ahead, put it at max settings, everything maxed, and we're getting about 39 frames per second, which is not fun or right, because we should be getting about 60 frames per second, especially when you look at this compared to MediaTek chipsets and everything else out there. But what I found interesting here was my temperatures also rose drastically. I was getting anything between 111 sometimes. I also got 120 once. And also I saw my performance drop down to 29 frames at a time, which begs the question that, again, there is something up with Snapdragon 8 Elite and Call of Duty Warzone, because also I had some glitches with some of the visuals on the game. Some of the assets didn't load up properly. So something is up. Please get it fixed, because it's a very capable chipset. I know it's capable, but there's just something that just doesn't work with it, with this game. And also the temperatures as well, which is quite maddening. Now, Samsung did add a few things to the gaming arsenal, which I liked, but they didn't add enough for me. So you do now have a gaming shortcut, which shows up right basically like a slit, or almost like a camera slit on the screen, where you can swipe to it, and that highlights the game. It says the game itself, whether it's performance customized, the tools, and pop-up, so you can have your tools for touch protection, screen recording, a recorder. Also shows you that the game at the very bottom says game optimization is balanced, RAM usage. Now you can hit the settings wheel and you can optimize more. So this is the game performance optimization for the game itself. You can also go ahead and optimize each game performance, whether it's balanced, power saved, and doing this will tap into the processor, so you're going to get more performance and also more heat as well. The one thing I'll mention is when you go into the game optimization itself, the customization for each game, and you select a game. For instance, I did this with Call of Duty Mobile. This option for FPS, if you select that, you can only go up to 60 FPS, and my game stayed capped at 60 FPS. This allows you to just maximize usage of battery in your gameplay and the things you want to do. There's frame boost, there's screen resolution settings, and things like that, which is nice. Now, another thing I did find out is that some of the Samsung tools that you could download from the Galaxy App Store, like game plugins, so you can use, the benchmark tools to get benchmarks on the device. I couldn't download it off the store. It would not install. I tried to sideload it with an APK, also had issues there as well, said it wouldn't install. So maybe Samsung is truly taking this away, and maybe they're bringing something else entirely. We have to wait and see. But I use my own benchmark tools, as you saw earlier, to give you kind of the benchmark performance. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, of course, is battery. What is the battery performance of this device? I have to say, though, it's been really good. This is something, again, in line with the Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset, where we should be getting about 20 to 30% better battery performance while gaming. And I saw that because I've been gaming with this, and I'm at 71%. And this is roughly around 3 hours of gaming on and off. So just not continuous, but on and off. But I can tell you that it is a very solid device for that. You do also have the option to actually power the device through to game instead of using the battery, which is basically PD gameplay power, which is very nice. So when I look at everything this brings to the table, I like what it is. I like that it's more comfortable to hold. I like that I've got a better screen and also just a more comfortable screen. I like the fact that performance is solid all the way through, except with Call of Duty Warzone, but I also like the audio of it. Take a listen.
He pardoned that lady that had 100 fetuses in her basement.
Must keep training.
Enemy down. Sniper eliminated. Changing mag. Government. We've taken the lead.
Yes, sounds really good. And I promise, guys, I will do a speaker test for you. But if you have any questions or any comments and you like this video, you want to see more gaming videos like this, you just want to see more gaming videos on the channel, let me know. Leave your thoughts about the S25 Ultra. If you want to pick one up, use our link down below. This is Thunder E saying thank you, and always enjoy your entertainment. Yeah, I need some sleep. See you guys later.